Guys, welcome back to 100% Mags. I know I haven't uploaded for the last few days, but I have, of course, been trying to deal with a flu that I've picked up. But I'm going to be running you through some of the news that has been coming out, of course, since I last uploaded. And some of that news is pretty big. There's talk, of course, of Joe Linton supposedly moving away from Newcastle United. There's talk of Kieran Trippier as of today supposedly moving away from Newcastle. There's talk coming from Luke Edwards as well, saying that we are on the verge of trying to sign Onana from Everton. So there's plenty of talk about. Also Manny, Javier Manquillo, of course, has of course been spotted in Spain at Celta Vigo. Rafa Benitez's side, of course, where it looks like he is about to be announced. Whenever you see this video, he might have already been announced, but it's probably about to be announced as a new player for Celta Vigo, which I was kind of expecting that one to happen. I thought that would have happened, to be honest, in the summer before this season started, but let's talk about, of course, all of that in today's video. Do remember to hit a like on the video if you do like it. Also, please do consider subscribing to the channel as well, as we are now pushing towards the next goal on the channel, which is to get to 2.5k subscribers. Then we can push on, of course, from there to get to the 3k subscribers. But before that, we'll go all into talking about, of course, the news. So we might as well go for it. Let's start by talking about, of course, the news that's come out today, saying that, Kieran Trippier, a player that's coming, the first signing under this regime in Newcastle United, the first signing under our brand new owners, of course, back a few years now. And Kieran Trippier was the first person to come in and buy into this project. And now there's reports coming out today from so many different outlets. We've got Luke Edwards talking about it, Lee Ryder talking about it. But the area where this story first cropped up from was from a Chelsea fan who has a Chelsea News page on Instagram. Of course, you will see a picture of the lad up on the screen, but he is the person that broke this news first. So take of it what you will, because it really does look like it could be a completely false story made up, to get some clicks, some generation, of rep towards this person. But I don't see this one happening. I really don't. The reasons why I don't see this one happening is the fact that, Kieran Trippier moved from Atletico Madrid, where he was quite happy playing at Atletico Madrid, but unfortunately, he wasn't able to settle down there with his family properly. But there's a lot of complications going on there, on the family side of things, where they just weren't able to settle in there, so he wanted to move back to England. He talked it through with his wife, and they decided that that was the best way to go about it, and that's why he moved to Newcastle United, because it was a chance to come back to England. It was a fantastic project being pitched to him as well by Dan Ashworth and Eddie Howe, and of course the owners. And of course he bought into the idea and he came to Newcastle United. So purely for them reasons alone, that's why I don't see this one being a starter, and definite non-starter for me. I just can't see Kieran Trippier wanting to go to Bayern Munich. He's also been linked with PSG as well, but I just cannot see it happening. Yes, there may be a possibility, that it could happen, being that Bayern Munich do have Eric Dier, they do have, Harry Kane there, two players that he has played with, definite friends of Kieran Trippier. So, there is a slight possibility it could happen, but on the other hand, it's the family side of things that makes it a non-starter for me. But moving away, of course, from that, even Craig Hope has said, there's no approach officially being made by Bayern Munich as well. So that in itself could be massive credence to it being a non-starter as well. But talking about Joe Linton now, Craig Hope as well, talking about Joe Linton, he was saying that, he's going to not be able to play for the rest of the season by the looks of it because he's got to have surgery. Of course, that's what Craig Hope is saying. 18 months on, of course, he's got a deal with his wage demands. Of course, he's wanting a bigger deal because his mate Bruno, of course, has got a bigger deal at Newcastle. So Joe Linton obviously wants to have a bigger deal. And I've got to say, he deserves a bigger deal as well because he's been doing fantastic since Eddie Howe's come in. He's really turned his game around. He's become the player that we all wanted him to be, and a player that we didn't think he would ever become, to be honest. We never thought he would be this kind of player, that just goes into games, muscles people around, gets the results, and gets performances, and puts on a show for everybody to watch. And that is exactly what he's become. He's become that kind of player where you just enjoy watching him play, and that is a massive turnaround compared to what Joe Linton was, before Eddie Howe came in, before these owners came in, so whatever the lad wants in wage demands, give him it, give him it because he's a fantastic player. We cannot be losing a player of Joe Linton's stature, and I don't think we will, to be honest, because these owners are no fools. Dan Ashworth's no fool. And Eddie Howe is definitely no fool. They're not going to let a player like Joe Linton just leave because of a wage. That is not what is happening. That is not what's going to happen. But, let us know your thoughts about it down in the comments below. I mean, I say give him what he wants. There's talk saying that Arsenal after him, Liverpool's after him. I say they don't even have the money to be able to buy Joe Linton, because you're looking at minimum 100 million, I'd say, for Joe Linton. That's where I would start the buying at for a player of this caliber. I wouldn't start it any lower than that because what Joe Linton can give, is a lot. You look at Arsenal back in the day, with Patrick Vieira. You look at the likes of, Gattuso in Italy. Joe Linton's right up there with them kinds of players. He's a muscle powerhouse. He is the enforcer. That is what you need in your team. You need a player like that who is willing to muscle their way through games. And that is what Joe Linton can do. And he can add even more to that as well because he's adding goals to that now. Which just adding that together, with the likes of his ability of strength, that's just absolutely amazing. It's such a turnaround for Joe Linton. I'm so happy, that he's had this chance to have this turnaround. And I just say give him what he wants, and wages because he's so worth every single penny of it because he can just do that. And there's not many players like that these days who can just muscle their way around games and get in people's faces, and that's what you need in the Premier League because it's a physical game. It's one of them leagues where, you need that physical presence, and Joe Linton is that physical presence, let's face it. Looking at, of course, some reports of players coming into the club. Of course, there's reports going around that Newcastle are monitoring Brazilian midfielder Ederson from Syria side Atalanta. Of course, this season, scouts have recently been in Italy watching him, including head of recruitment Steve Nixon. Understood a deal would be implicated in this window, though. So we'll have to see what will happen, of course, on that one. But we are monitoring the Brazilian midfielder Ederson from Atlanta. Newcastle, like I say, according to reports from Luke Edwards, are looking at Onana, of course, of Everton. The reports, of course, are that Newcastle have had him high on their list of recruitments in the midfield list, of course, since the summer. The club are now considering making a move for the player as an alternative to Calvin Phillips, as it looks like Calvin Phillips is now possibly on his way to West Ham, according to reports what Sky are putting out at the moment. The club, of course, will look to do an initial loan, apparently, for Onana, but could make the deal, of course, permanent, with the obligation to buy in there as well. This, of course, like I say, is coming from Luke Edwards, who is claiming it as an exclusive for the Telegraph. I haven't seen it by many others, but Joel Bland, who's also been talking about it on the NUFC Twitter line as well, or the NUFC X line, if you will. And of course, there has also been developments on the stacks at Newcastle, just outside of St James's Park on the Strawberry Place area. Of course, the initial work has started on the land where Stacks Newcastle will be located, and it's revealed by Darren Eales. The club are hoping it will be open by the end of spring or in the off season. So they've already started work on the Strawberry Place area where the metro station is. Plenty of pictures up online, of course, of the construction already going on there, for, of course, to make way for Stacks Newcastle to come in to that area. But let us know your thoughts anyway down in the comments below. What do you think about the news in this video? Do you think Joelinton will move from Newcastle United? I personally, like I say, don't think so. Do you think Kieran Trippier will move from Newcastle United? Craig Hope doesn't think so. He's saying that there's no reports coming from Bayern Munich, no official approach from Bayern Munich. So hopefully that is the case. And hopefully, we get to keep Kieran Trippier. If not, then, hopefully we get a decent fee for Kieran Trippier. Decent fee, I think, for a 33-year-old. If we could get, say, 30 million, that would be absolutely crazy to get in, the coffers, help with trying at least get some signings through the door in this January transfer window. Sorry, guys. But I think, if we could get that, then that would be absolutely amazing. As for the Manny deal, like I say, I knew this was coming at some point, that Manny would go off, and it would be the perfect choice, that would be to Celta Vigo, where Rafa Benitez is, because he's been at every other club where Rafa has been so far as well. So, to my recollection, of course, Onana as well. Let us know what you think on that one. Do you think Onana will be a player that we actually do go in for, according to Luke Edwards and Joel Bland? They're both saying that, he has been high on the list for it. So we'll see. Only time will tell on it. But let us know your thoughts anyway down in the comments below. Hopefully you have liked this video, and like I say, hit a like, share and subscribe to the channel, and apologies as well for the lack of uploads, but as you can tell, absolutely loaded with the flu, so really trying to get over this so I can get back to making videos for you guys out there, and I do appreciate the support towards the channel. So till next time, I'll see you all later, and how well that.